Hello everybody and welcome to Amphlett Reviews, back with another Hong Kong content review, continuing with a surprise entry for the Lau Kar-leung series. I previously said in my Drunken Master 2 that would be the final one. However, thanks to Mitch's Friday Night Song Club, which has been a fantastic kind of, commentator on all these videos, has been a really big supporter of this series. I just want to say a big thank you to yourself, and thank you for pointing out that Drunken Monkey is available on Amazon for a very, very reasonable price on DVD. For some reason, it wasn't showing up on Amazon Prime. I had to put it into a separate search engine, and for some reason, then it appeared. It was only appearing up the region 1, which is going for crazy, crazy money. Thankfully, the UK edition is going for a couple of quid, so I would definitely recommend picking it up, guys, if you want access to this film. And thank you to Mitch for pointing this one out and allowing me to complete the Lau Kar-leung series officially on the final movie of that director. There's still a couple of movies that I've yet to check out with him. I don't think I'm going to be able to get around to watching them, being Drunken Master 3, which does have a UK release. It's pretty out of print though, so if I do get a chance to kind of see it, check it out, maybe on a second-hand store, I will pick it up. There is the Tiger on the Beat 2, very hard access again. Not too sure if I'm going to be bothered about watching that one because I didn't like the first one. And also he's directed one of the Aces Go Places series, which I think is the final entry of that franchise. So that would be a very different series of videos depending on if I get around to watching that entire franchise. So I think I've done pretty well considering maybe one or two that I've missed. And it's nice to have the official one, the official final entry of Lau Kar-leung's kind of movies on the 2003's Drunken Monkey. Quite interesting marketing as well, being the fact he did Drunken Master 2 and then he did Drunken Master 3, which is nothing to do with those first two movies, just a title sequel only, and then doing his kind of final Drunken Monkey as his kind of last entry. It makes sense because the fighting style he does in the film is a mixture between drunken style boxing. He just do monkey fist within the film, so there is a kind of like that tradition and that kind of style he does usually within his movies, and that's been shown quite a few times with many previous films as well. So it's not out of character, it's not kind of a complete marketing kind of gimmick. It just happens to kind of fall in line with his kind of last two movies. And this is the UK DVD edition, very bare bones. As you can see there, just a trailer, and that's about it. And diving straight into Drunken Monkey, I want to say straight off the bat, this is definitely a swan song. This is definitely a final farewell. This is a hoo-ah to not only Lau Kar-leung being a main character in this film, but also Gordon Liu as well, where, one of his last kind of big roles in this film. Obviously, he had big success, obviously doing from Kill Bill, and he's done quite a few American movies and a few movies in between, but I think this was a good final collaboration between those two legendary kind of, collaborators. And it's weird to see Gordon Liu so old, being the fact I'm so used to seeing him so young in a lot of his movies. Saying that Lau Kar-leung was 69 when he did this film, and he is still kicking some serious ass. The first portion of this film, I think the first 20, maybe half an hour, is pretty good setup. I think it's actually pretty engaging, and it's an interesting one with Lau Kar-leung basically having this kind of delivery service set within 1930. Very similar to kind of The Postman Strikes Back, if anyone's seen that film, where basically a postal service, kind of a series of kind of, operators basically go from place to place, delivering kind of parcels and packages at risk of bandits and kind of threat, and have to defend themselves against kind of, any kind of enemy kind of combatant. The first kind of 20-30 minutes of this film is actually really pretty goddamn good. Lau Kar-leung is, as our main character, and, he's having this kind of back and forth with one of these kind of like, brothers essentially, who's basically kind of, sleeping around and doing shady deals and doing kind of, sneaky packages to get extra money. And, he is, very angry with, with his kind of, his fellow comrades essentially, and he doesn't believe, this is right, this is an honourable service, an honourable duty, this is respectful, and I can't tolerate that kind of thing. I can't allow you to kind of taint what I've established or what I've built, because he's the founder, he's the operator, and things escalate pretty quickly in the film where they essentially this brother character, someone who's almost on the verge of being kicked out, decides to take action against him and ambushes him alongside many other kind of, fellow delivery men who basically want their due. They don't want to be delivery men anymore. They want to be rich. They want to be wealthy. They want to have status. And they are basically wanting to get rid of the founder to basically take over essentially, and, to operate smuggling and very shady deals, mainly to do with drugs and, foreign kind of devils, as the film says in the film as well. This leads to a really brilliant all out kind of action fight sequences back and forth. Lau Kar-leung is just knocking the shit out of everyone. It feels very much like a kind of a Logan-esque kind of feel in a sense, you know, one last rodeo, one last showdown kind of thing. And then we establish our younger characters, which unfortunately kind of drags down the film a little bit. They're not terrible. It's just kind of, they're very uncharismatic. They're very uninteresting. They are just there as filler to add a bit of kind of light comedy, which they're not really selling. Essentially, you got two kind of brothers, essentially, you know, uncles or, you know, social status. One wants to be a kind of a drawer, he wants to be a painter, he wants to be more of an artist. The other wants to have, you know, Mad Monkey Kung Fu skills, essentially, and wants to have really strong kind of kung fu. They are kind of established house, and you've got these back and forth kind of, you know, brother kind of characters essentially kind of going at each other, and they go into town, they kind of interact with this woman. Basically, they kind of like sort of like fall for, but not really. It's not really romantic. It's more of just an admirer of like their skill sets, because she demonstrates a really specific kind of, you know, drunken monkey kind of style fighting, you know, drunken boxing fighting as well. And they follow her, and establishes that basically Man Bill, I think his name is Master Bill or Mr. Man, you know, Kar-leung's character is still alive after the kind of ambush from the start of the film, and they kind of want his teachings, they want his kind of, you know, understanding of his skill sets, and traditional kind of Shaw Brothers kind of gimmicky kind of things happen. And this feels definitely much like a Shaw Brothers type movie, for the better or for worse. It does have a lot of the traits and kind of, you know, typical kind of shortcomings, and has the glorious moments of it kind of thing, with the over top kind of fighting and the typical kind of villainish kind of, you know, laughing and mocking and threatening to kind of rape and kill women kind of thing. You have all that in the film. It definitely escalates in certain points, you know, characters that are timid and kind of scared, who kind of betray, you know, Lau Kar-leung's character at the start of the film, is now come super evil and just, you know, willing to kind of do what he wants. And I think that's just kind of funny. Very typical kind of Shaw Brothers kind of, you know, mocking and laughing essentially. Gordon Liu's character is a supporting role in the film. He's a detective character that kind of is established at the start, and he comes back later on, kind of tracks down kind of Lau Kar-leung's character, and it's great to see them two on screen. What is the strength of the film is Lau Kar-leung and Gordon Liu, and anything around that story, because that's essentially what the story is. The final moments between Lau Kar-leung and Gordon Liu are really fantastic as well. It's really kind of old school kind of Shaw Brothers, with the kind of villain laughing his ass off. Really surprising escalation that does happen, which I quite appreciated. You get the traditional kind of training sequences, and you get all the kind of the usual kind of tick box stuff that does play out as well. I actually really like the relationship between Lau Kar-leung and this kind of adopted kind of daughter kind of relationship that does happen in the film. Kind of Maddie, I believe her name is, and she has a really cool little mini arc as well, with one of the kind of the enemy characters, which I really do appreciate. And all leads to a kind of a really kick-ass third act finale, which is just awesome. It's all set within one location, the finale, and it's just people busting through windows and different types of styles and techniques, and really demonstrating what they can do. And the only real downside of this film is just, unfortunately, the kind of two brother kind of characters, they are just basically filler to add to the runtime, to kind of get you to a certain place in the story where Lau Kar-leung can take over being basically the main protagonist again. I'm pretty confident if he was just the main character from start to finish, I think that film would have worked a lot better. But I think they needed a little bit of break in between, because obviously he is within his like 70s by that point. You know, he's getting on a little bit, his health isn't the best, so they just need to see. And it's also a good way to kind of establish the new generation of kind of, you know, Hong Kong actors and fighters, and kind of, you know, does what he usually does. He tries to innovate and tries to kind of bring out new talent. Unfortunately, the talent here isn't that great. I hope in maybe down their filmography, maybe there is a better movie they've done potentially, but in the material here and the way their performances are and the way they kind of show who their characters are, yeah, it's not great. It's not great. However, the fight scenes are great. All the stuff for Lau Kar-leung, all the stuff for Gordon Liu, the ultimate finale as well, the ultimate message of the film was trying to go for, and the final goodbye as well with the scrapbook showing Lau Kar-leung basically doing his stance, his monkey stance. It's great. It's a great finale. I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who's been watching these videos and commenting and supporting. It's been really fun watching it from kind of start all the way to finish. Get a real big sense of this kind of director and this kind of family unit, and get a much deeper appreciation of a kind of decades of kind of Shaw Brothers and kind of martial art based movies and content, and to find some new favourites along the kind of the road that this director's been on, and it's been a real fantastic journey to be on. So what are your thoughts, guys? Please comment down below. I'll see you guys on the very next one, on the next kind of series of videos I'll be doing very, very soon, guys. Please stay tuned. So in the meantime, guys, Amphlett Reviews, signing out.